This is a lesson on how to find volume of an object of a rectangular prism, which is a shape like this. Most common boxes are rectangular prisms, when you are using a fractional cube to fill the space. So there are several different ways to solve this. I'll show you a couple of different ones, but I think this first way is the easiest one. So right now, we know that this box is 2 centimeters across, 7/4 of a centimeter wide, and 1 centimeter high. So the first thing I do is I kind of picture how many of these 1/4 blocks would fit across this front part. Since this is 2 centimeters, I know that I can fit 4 centimeter blocks in that centimeter, and 4 centimeter blocks in that centimeter. So now instead of thinking of it as 2 centimeters, I think of it as 8 1/4 blocks. Okay, so now I know there's 8 that are going across is the length. It's 8 of those 1/4 blocks. Then 7/4 is kind of nice because that means that it takes 7/4, 7 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now I know there are 7 1/4 blocks going across, and then 1 centimeter tells me that I can fit 4 going up. So if I have 8 blocks across here, so I have 8 rows, then I have 7 columns of that. That tells me that's 8 groups of 7 blocks, or 7 groups of 8 blocks, which is my favorite fact. 5, 6, 7, 8. 56 equals 7 times 8. So on the base of this, there would be 56 of these little cubes. Then how many levels of 56 cubes are there? There would be 4 levels of 56. So that's 4 groups of 56. So 4 times 6 is 24. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2 more. So it would fit 224 1/4 by 1/4 cubes. That makes sense that it would fit so many cubes in there because these cubes are tiny. They're a fraction of a whole centimeter. So these are really small cubes, so it would take a ton of them to fit inside of this rectangular prism. Okay, let's try another one. So we're going to do this problem right here. So again, we have a rectangular prism. It measures 5/3 by 4/3 by 2, and we're going to be filling it with cubes that are 1/3 by 1/3 by 1/3. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can solve this one the same way that I solved this one up here. You should have paper and pencil with you and should be able to solve these. When you have it solved, check back and see if you got the same answer I did. Okay, so if you transferred these to 1/3, I picture 5 cubes fitting across here because there's 5/3. Then there is 4 cubes fitting across here because it's 4/3. And then this one, there are 6 cubes because we have 2 wholes. So it would be 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 a whole, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 a whole. So that tells me that I have 5 by 4 by 6 cubes that are 1/3 by 1/3 going up there. So 5 times 4 is 20. 20 times 6 is 120. So it would take 120 1/3 cubes to fill that box. Okay, so that's a good method to use there. Let's look at one where they give you the volume and try to ask you how many it would take to get from there. Another type of problem that they give us is they'll tell you that you have a rectangular prism with a volume of 5 cubic units is filled with cubes with side lengths 1/3 unit. How many 1/3 unit cubes does it take to fill the prism? So now we know what the volume is, but we don't know how many of the small cubes to use. So again, I kind of picture it like this. This is our rectangular prism. It's filled with 5 unit cubes. Well, inside these unit cubes, we need to think about how many 1/3 it would fill. So I think of it as just here's 1 unit cube, okay? So I can kind of draw that. And to help you draw, you kind of draw like this. And then I do back, sideways, or angled legs like that. So here is one of the unit cubes. So inside this 1 unit cube, I can fit... Harper, can I borrow one of your colored pencils? Sure, I'll take pink. Pink is not my favorite color, but I'll take it. Sorry, my 3-year-old assistant is helping me. So inside of this, I can think about it would take 3 1/3 cubes to go across the front. It would take 3 1/3 cubes to go across the back, and it would take 3 1/3 cubes up. So in 1 cubic unit, it would take 3 by 3 by 3 cubes. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So 1 unit equals 27 1/3 cubes. So if this one equals 27, this one equals 27, this one equals 27, oh, I hear some repeated addition going on here. So the faster way to do that would just say, well, I have 5 groups of cubes that would require 27 1/3 cubes in each of them. So that means I have 5 groups of 27. So 27 times 5 is 5 times 7, 35. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 more is 135 1/3 cubes. Again, that makes sense that it would take tons of those cubes to fill in there, because if you have 5 of these, a 1/3 cube is teeny tiny to fit in there. Okay, let me give you another one. Let's see, let's go back to here. Let's do this one, and after you get it, push pause and try to solve it yourself, and then come back to see if you're right. So now you're going to be dealing with a rectangular prism with a volume of 3 cubic units, and it is filled with side lengths of 1/4 unit. So how many 1/4 unit cubes does it take to fill that prism? Okay, so you think you figured it out, so now you're going to test to see if you are correct. So again, I think about, we have 3 of those unit cubes now, so we need to figure out how many 1/4 it would take to fill just one of them. Well, it would take 4 across the front, 4 across the back, and 4 levels of it. So 4 times 4 is 16, 16 times 4 is 64. So one of the cubes takes 64 1/4 cubes. So 64, 64, 64. That means I have 3 groups of 64. So 64 times 3 gives me 192 1/4 cubes to fill that 3 cubic rectangular prism. So hopefully that helped you out a little bit. If you still have questions, please email me. We can set up a conference and we can do a couple more of these together.